I'm consistently jealous of the events that Diablo Immortal gets. This was a quote made in Rhykkers' most recent video where he compares the Diablo Immortal Berserk update to what they received in Diablo 4. And as his statement said, he really likes what we got a bit better. Let's tune into just his intro here so you could hear exactly how he starts out his video.
Hey folks, this is Rhykker, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Diablo Immortal got the better Berserk crossover event than Diablo 4.
Which is something you would never really expect to hear, right? Like, we're talking about a mobile version of Diablo, and hearing that they got the better update, the game that you could download for free, play for free if you want to, got the better update and more value within it. Now, in this video, Rhykker goes into the update that came for Diablo 4. He highlights all the positive things, the farming for each of the classes and how each class is a great farming build, and a couple of other updates for quality of life. But then he gets into comparing what they received from the Berserk update in their title, Diablo 4, and what that looked like and what that cost, and then compare it to what we got. I want to listen into what he says about that comparison and then bring it back to my perspective being a Diablo Immortal player. Now, if you don't know Rhykker, Rhykker puts out videos on a fairly regular basis. He's not a daily uploader, but he's more of a big video kind of guy. When there's a lot of news, he's going to bring you the news regarding any action RPGs in the space. In fact, inside of this video, he covers multiple different titles, and it's one that I would recommend that you go watch. I will be linking this video in particular to his channel and to this video in the description of my video. But now let's tune in and see what he has to say about how this event looked for his title and that comparison.
But then there's the rest of it. Let's start with the Berserk crossover, which kicked off this week. A collab with one of the most iconic manga franchises of all time. Should have been a slam dunk. Instead, people are complaining about class-locked cosmetics, no real gameplay content, and a price tag that, well, if you want to buy all the Berserk cosmetics that are for sale, it'll cost you 16,500 platinum, or roughly $150 US.
All right, so I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, $150? That's $100 less than the cosmetics that we had in our Phantom Market, where it cost us $250 to buy the cosmetics for the Berserk update if you wanted the complete unlock of Berserker and Hawk. But something we need to keep in mind here is Diablo Immortal is a free-to-download game. You could download the game, play it for free for 3 years now, and have spent $0 inside of the game. And you could have experienced all of the things that the game has to offer. No, you won't be the best in Battleground, and you won't be the top of the leaderboard, but you still can really enjoy the game. In my opinion, I think that it is in a good spot there. But with Diablo 4, we're looking at a AAA PC title, one of the biggest action RPGs in the world that has a price tag. You have to buy this game. And what we're seeing here is, although only cosmetic, there's no power being bought here, which is a good thing. It's a positive. You still have microtransactions inside of the game where you have to pay if you want to get these cosmetics. And keep in mind, you had to pay per class as well. It was not a cross-class cosmetics. You could purchase on each individual class if you wanted to get them all. I guess the question is, how many players of D4 actually purchased any of the Berserk update cosmetics? I'm really curious about that. Let's get back into his video.
Meanwhile, in Diablo Immortal, they actually got an event that includes gameplay. There's a dungeon, there's a boss, there's also cosmetics for each class. I'm just consistently jealous of the events that Diablo Immortal gets. There clearly exists within Blizzard the ability to have these event ideas, so why does Immortal get them and not Diablo 4? Because in D4, the Berserk event is basically just, as you play the game as you normally do, elite enemies will sometimes drop something called Baelits, and you gotta collect 500 of these to unlock all the free cosmetics that come with this event.
Now, keep in mind, so you have to get 500 Baelits from doing open world farming related things inside of Diablo 4, while on launch day, on update day of Diablo Immortal, when we logged in, we got all of our rewards just for logging in. That was 10 legendary crests. It was the cosmetic for one of the classes, whatever class you were wearing as well, the weapon cosmetics. It was really nice to dive into the game to have these rewards just waiting for us with no job, no work to do. We just jumped on them. You also got yourself a portal, and you got yourself the avatar frame as well, all for free just from logging in.
And that's it. There's no actual gameplay, no new boss, no new dungeon, no storyline, nothing. Oh, by the way, doing Helltide seems to be the best way to farm up these Baelits. Either Blood Maiden, she drops them consistently, or just go around hunting for elites. Don't get me wrong, getting some free cosmetics is nice, or some earnable cosmetics rather is nice, but you look over at your neighbor's lawn and they're getting all this other stuff. Now back to those Baelits. Some people are complaining about how they were added into the game because you have to actually click.
All right, I think right there we kind of got the big picture of the jealousy, we can call it, that Rhykker has over here regarding Diablo Immortal and what we got from the events versus what they got. Now, again, when we look at the rewards right here, on day one, if we can I even I don't even think I could scroll over that back that far anymore. Well, we got ourselves a lot of free stuff. Now, of course, there are the cosmetics as well that we could buy. They definitely give us the ability to spend a ton of money here. Again, this is how they monetize their game, from cosmetics and from buying of power with legendary crits, etc. But there were a lot of rewards here. And he also did mention that there was the event, like there was the dungeon, as he called it, the boss battle. Now, let's be honest, this boss battle was pretty simple for all of us to dive in and to actually go do the battle. It wasn't anything that was extraordinarily spectacular, but it was a cool event, and it was something that brought a nice cinematic value to the game as well. And for people that are fans of Berserk, it really got them into Diablo Immortal to say, let me see what this game's actually about. And it maybe was enough to catch them and hook them to be players. At the end of the day, these events are, yes, they're for us, the players of the game already, to enjoy something new, a nice, cool update. But these crossover events are really to bring in new players. When they did it with WoW, and now they did it with Berserk, the thought process is, let's get these players from these other really popular titles and IPs, and let's introduce them to Diablo Immortal and get them to come try our game. And maybe 10% of those players will stick around and be new players for Diablo Immortal. That's the marketing strategy there, and it's actually a really smart one. Specifically when you're doing it with like World of Warcraft, because it's already a Blizzard IP, you don't have to pay any fees or anything or to do that. You just kind of use your own IPs to bring other people in. Like if they did it with StarCraft and made a StarCraft themed thing in Diablo Immortal, we'd probably see some StarCraft people. I don't know that they would stay or not. So at the end of the day, I thought it was really cool that, first of all, Rhykker was discussing this. I always love it when Diablo Immortal is brought into the discussions. Now, keep in mind, Rhykker was, when Diablo Immortal launched, him and many of the Max Roll people were creators for Diablo Immortal. They liked the game initially, and they were covering it on Max Roll and their respective channels. And all of them at the point of when pay to win really became a big element of the game, all of them left and stopped covering the game. I respect them for their decision. Me coming from the mobile gaming space, I'm much more used to this mechanic inside of games. It's something that really is pretty much almost everywhere in mobile. Not everywhere, but almost everywhere. So for me, it was less of a shock. To them coming from PC and Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, it definitely was something that they were not comfortable with. So they stopped covering. And again, I respect them for that. Also, one more thing. I've actually met Rhykker and had dinner with him one time that I was at a Blizzard event. I want to say, super awesome guy, very respectful, respectable person, and I really value his channel and what he's built over the year. Basically built out an ARPG empire, and I just want to give him a lot of credit. And I really do urge all of you to go check out his channel. Now, the event overall, I've went over it with Indez, and I went over it with Misery Hates Company. I do think it was a pretty decent update, but at the end of the day, we kind of ran out of stuff to do, and the update happened. We got some free stuff. You could spend a bunch of money here if you want to, but at the end of the day, the update was decent. There wasn't as much material there as maybe Rhykker believes because of the new dungeon, the new boss. It was actually something quite small. That being said, if you are thinking about the one thing that you should focus on, especially if you you're a free-to-play, a new player, or someone that is a low spender, is getting as many of these Crimson Bellet gems as you can. I put out a video yesterday on how you can upgrade a 2-star gem to max level. It's 600 and something gem power and 41 copies of the gem. As you can see, I have 30 copies right here. I've been grinding. We have the rest of the month to collect these. So we have another, I don't know, 20, 19 days. Remember, you can craft them with telluric fragments that you get from running your Elder Rifts. Make sure that you use your telluric fragments, and that's the gem you should be using. Even if you decide you don't want to use it, I feel like it's a very good idea to level it up as much as you can, get it up to the max level, and then make it dormant, because this is a gem that you're never going to be able to get again. And as far as 2-star gems go, it is an S tier 2-star gem, one that you all should have. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you go check out Rhykker, and we'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.